why it is not happening on the scale that we wish it to be? Is it because it is economically not feasible?
It's feasible, but it's not happening on the scale that we need because plastics look very cheap. And actually, another effect of the pandemic was that the oil price crashed. And as we know, this is part of the petrochemical chain, and that made plastics even cheaper to produce. We are not paying the cost of pollution. And if we don't take the full life cycle costs of using plastic into account in the price, then it is always going to be cheaper to produce virgin plastic than it is to recycle. It's perfectly possible to recycle plastic, but it costs money. And you can educate the consumer all you like. Indeed, in Japan, where consumers are highly educated on plastics, they sort it, they put it all in the recycling. And until China banned the import of plastic waste, it was all going to China. So it wasn't really being recycled as the consumer thought it was being. And it's the same here. People are educated to recycle their plastic, but once it goes in the bin, they're not in control of what happens. What matters there is that it is expensive to do it properly. And so unless we embed that in the price of plastic, it won't happen. But it's perfectly possible to do it.
Are you suggesting we're doing it like carbon tax, put a plastic tax on the society? And will the world accept that idea?
Well, why not? I mean, the cost of not doing it is going to be much higher. And actually, you know, the carbon tax analogy is a good one, because with a carbon tax, we're taxing something now to avoid future harms. And that's a difficult thing in taxation policy, but we understand why it's necessary. I see plastic in much the same way, that yes, it looks cheap, but it's not cheap if you think what's happening, the damage that it's doing. So that cost, the whole life cycle cost, has to be built in to the initial price, or else recycling never makes sense. But the carbon tax is a very good analogy.